is happening with this? All right, whatever. I don't know. It has a mind of its own. All right, I'm going to get straight into today's live. There is a lot to cover. There was some very interesting stories or emails that were sent to me, so I'm just going to get right into it. And the very first email that I received came through from Donna. When people are here, if you want to just let me know that you can hear me, that would be great, just for some feedback in the chats. So Donna was the first email that came through. And Donna writes, "Hello, my name is Donna. I've released a lot of things that have held me back. I never knew that I didn't truly love myself because I've always been doing for others. I truly feel that I'm meant to help others as a teacher of some kind. I've lived 40 plus years in the workforce. I'm done working out there. What messages do I need right now on my path? I definitely need more clarity. I'm not clear on what I should be doing or working towards. I'd love to bring in my clairs as well. So like the clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient gifts. Thank you for your guidance." Okay, so Donna, the very first thing that I was getting for you was, first of all, I just want to actually start off by saying that every single person that sent in an email and every question that I'm going to be answering today, that there is a new beginning energy. Literally, as I sat down and I was hitting the button to go live, 2 crows flew by. So there's definitely crows representing new beginning. It's death and rebirth energy. So there's definitely a new beginning here for everyone, I think, that is joining either in the chats or people that have submitted questions. Now, Donna, the question for you about getting clarity or needing to know what the path is forward for you right now, the very first message that was coming through is that your very first job basically right now is to continue working on your self-love. There's this big gap that I was picking up on between you and loving yourself. You have disconnected from yourself so immensely because of the 40 plus years that you've been in the workforce, because you've spent most of your life or maybe the entirety of your life giving to other people and serving, that you've actually lost yourself. You've disconnected from your own needs. You've disconnected from your own self-worth and what you require in order for you to thrive, to feel happy. So the best thing that you can do at this time, and that spirit is guiding you towards, is to learn how to fill your own cup. Because while you are telling me, like in the email, that you feel like you have this calling to teach people, the message I was receiving about that is that you can't pour from an empty cup. So if your cup is empty right now because you're so depleted, because you're so disconnected from all those years of giving, then you jumping into something, or you trying to force yourself to figure out what you should be teaching or what your purpose is actually not the next step. That's a hindrance, because you're trying to just jump straight into the next thing, and you're basically trying to bypass the lesson that this current pause in your life, this new beginning, is trying to teach you. Okay, so Spirit is guiding you towards you needing to learn how to fill your own cup. Let me just see here my notes. What did I write? Yes, also that you've been running on autopilot for a really, really long time. And I was getting that very strongly. So again, this super disconnect, just autopilot, you get up in the morning, you do your thing, you get ready, you go to work, blah, 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 right? You've been on this very intense autopilot, and that autopilot has been what has disconnected you so much from yourself. Your nervous system, I was also receiving a message about that your nervous system needs to be recalibrated at this time, which means that it needs to calm down. Like there's this almost anxious energy within the nervous system that I was picking up, and it felt pretty uncomfortable, to be honest. So I was seeing a lot of like long walks. I was hearing that too, like long, slow walks outside. Very like slow. So things like Tai Chi, yoga, things that are sort of slow and very intentional, those kind of practices would be very, very helpful for you right now, Donna, to clear and to settle and to recalibrate your nervous system, to calm it down, because your nervous system was so much in like fight and flight. It was so much in survival mode that's really just messed up your entire system. And this is what causes confusion, by the way, for a lot of people, is when you're in survival mode a lot of the time of your life, it's like your nervous system doesn't have a chance to even signal any or send any messages to the body to relax, to calm down. And if you can't calm down, if your nervous system is on the fritz all the time, you're not going to hear your intuition. You're not going to hear that deeper inner guidance that your soul is actually trying to guide you towards. Okay, so that's kind of step one for you right now, Donna. You have to settle your nervous system down, calm it down. I was also getting something about diet. Let me look at my notes again here. Yeah, you need to come back to yourself. And you don't need to be in constant doing. I was hearing that. You have to learn how to just be. So again, Donna, this desire to just jump from one thing straight into the next thing is not going to serve you well. There is a reason and a purpose for this pause in your life, and you need to embrace that pause. You need to actually give yourself permission to be excited for it, to like it, to enjoy it. Meditation, I was also getting that. Yeah, that meditation will help you greatly to reprogram your mind and to also settle your mind. It will give you clarity about what you are meant to do. And that's actually part of the reason why you don't have clarity, why you're not sure on what to do next, is because when you are forcefully trying to figure something out, when you are forcefully trying to control a narrative, or like I said, just jump straight into the next step or the next chapter of your life without fully taking some time to heal, to close up, to integrate the previous chapter, you're not going to have clarity on what to do next. You're just not. So this is a process I went through myself, where I had to literally learn how to just pause, how to slow down, how to actually close a chapter of my life before jumping into the next one. And that's where you are right now. So that's why there was this new beginning energy. That's why the crows were showing up right before I sat down. What else? Yeah, I was also hearing that you lost the spark, that you have disconnected from your passion. So there is a big energy shift that needs to happen in your lower chakras, so your root, your sacral chakra. There's a lot of stored emotion also in your sacral chakra that needs to be purged out, because it's actually blocking you from connecting to your passion. So when we are stuffing down our emotions, when we are very disconnected from how we are feeling, when we are disconnected from our needs, then we tend to completely block out the passion part of it too, because that's in the same chakra, that energy. So there's a need to work on reconnecting that. I mentioned the long walks to ground, reconnecting to Mother Earth actually too. There was a message coming through about that and how incredibly healing that is and how underrated it is. People don't recognize or realize how much clarity you can have from a nice long walk in nature, especially somewhere where it's like beautiful. I'm not talking like a busy city with honking and sirens. No, that's not the kind of nature walk I'm talking about. I'm talking about like taking a drive, go somewhere where you know it's quiet, where you know it's peaceful, where you're truly surrounded by nothing but, the natural world. If that's something that you can do, even if it's just a park, right? But something. Cleaning up the diet was a message also that was coming in, and that was coming in specifically connected to your clairs. So the clairaudience, clairvoyance, clairsentience, all these different clairs that you're looking to reconnect to is going to come through from cleansing the vessel. So I was getting a message about that, like needing to cleanse the vessel and making sure that it's open, that energy can flow through. And this is the like, see how it all connects in with the Tai Chi and the yoga, like all these different movements that are going to help unblock you. It's going to help move energy in your body and also move toxins out of your body. So it's like energetic and physical toxins are released through these different movements. So definitely try that. It's going to be a process. I feel like this is something you're going to have to get used to. It's like a new beginning, as the crows said. It's a new beginning that you are basically needing to embrace at this time if you want to gain clarity. Because I'm not here to tell you what your purpose is and what you're supposed to do. That's for you to figure out. And that's the whole beauty of all of this, is that when we receive a pause in life, that's why we receive a pause. Because God is trying to guide you towards figuring that out, reconnecting to yourself on a very deep level, because through that reconnection is when you're actually going to be able to, that's where inspiration comes from, right? That's where all of a sudden you're just like, you get an aha moment, you get an idea, and you're like, oh my God, I would love to teach this, or I would love to share this. Usually the things that we end up teaching other people are the things that we have learned ourselves, things that we have had experience with ourselves, things that we have healed or have nurtured or have pieced back together within ourselves. Okay, so that should be your compass. That is where your true north points. So tune and tap into yourself on a deeper level, and your answers will come. Okay, so that is what I was getting for you. Like I said, your interests and your passions are going to be pointing the direction of your of like what you're meant to teach. Okay, so that's everything for Donna. And then I'm going to move on to the next one. Now, this next story is a little bit longer. The email I received definitely was more extensive. It has a lot of detail, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to read all of it, but you know what? I'm going to, because I think it's very relatable. I think it's a situation many people have experienced. So this one came in from Ro. Ro says, before coming across your videos, I really felt alone in the journey. I really appreciate that you do these Q&As. My situation has me feeling so blocked. Heads up, it's heavy. My thoughts and memories have been haunting me for many years, and I am very aware that I may have manifested a shit show over time. That's okay, Ro. So do so many of us. So let's get into it. So Ro's story here says that 11 years ago, my dearest cousin committed suicide, and it seems from that moment, my life took a nosedive. I walked away from my marriage the following year. Then the year after that, both my dad and dog got sick with cancer 2 weeks apart, and then died 1 month apart 2 months later. And then this happened in 2016 for you, and I'm so sorry for your losses, Ro. That's a lot to deal with all at once. I watched my father be neglected and wither away in the hospital to the point that he ended up in the ICU for 2 weeks and then another 2 weeks in aftercare. They told him he had to go in for surgery 2 weeks after he came home, and ended up dying on the operating table before the surgery even began, passing when the anesthesia was administered. So first off, I just want to say that the reason why he passed when the anesthesia was administered was because his body was way too weak. It couldn't even handle the anesthesia. So yeah, but I'm hearing that was destiny. That was what was meant to happen. But that's very, very sad, actually. And that's something that the doctors should have known. It's like he should have been assessed before to see if he was even fit for anesthesia, is what I'm trying to say. So continue with the story. 5 minutes after getting the news that my father had passed, my mother hit me with, "You're going to move back home," before I could even absorb what had happened. From that moment on, it felt like I lost my life as well, which you did, and we'll get into that in a moment. After my dad died, I had to walk away from both sides of my family because they became so horrible and wouldn't stop insulting my dad. He wasn't the easiest person to deal with. My father was very abusive to both my mom and I, but I tried to move past it when he died. He had gone through enough. And I just have to commend you here, Ro. That's incredibly compassionate of you to see it that way and to have that much forgiveness in your heart. If your father was abusive, that for you to still be that compassionate towards him is beautiful, and it just really shows your character. So I just wanted to acknowledge that before I continue. And then you're saying, I tried to get a solid career so I could take care of the finances for my mom and I. I ended up putting off moving back for another 3 years, as in moving in with your mom, by going back to school to become a carpenter. I'm a woman who clearly had a lot of anger and energy to put into that, but I ended up suffering a work accident in 2019 that affected my spine and neurological stability. For lack of a better way to describe it, nerve damage. So you experienced nerve damage while you were trying to basically move into this new career or train for it. I was diagnosed with birth defects in my spine as well that have been torturing me my whole life. I also got diagnosed with stage 4 endometriosis and had to have a total hysterectomy in 2021. I was treated horribly by medical professionals throughout the process dealing with that injury. Wow. It really just sounds like you were hit like back to back with nonstop crap. Ever since I haven't been able to work. I've lost all my friends because to them, especially my best friend of 40 years, who's also my next door neighbor, because according to them, I've changed. I got tired of the rude comments and of being misunderstood. I have been trying to work on a creative business, making paper flowers and bouquets, and seem to be struggling to get my work seen at all. It feels like I'm screaming into a void. My mother is still working, unfortunately, and it kills me to see her working way past her retirement, taking care of the two of us, when it should be me taking care of her. My mother is not an easy woman to deal with, although she is very sweet and caring when she wants to be. We really struggle to communicate, and I know I have resentments from the past that I'm working very hard on trying to move past. Her mind has taken on a one-track mind on the woes of life and money. So basically your mom is like very negative, always just focusing on, yeah, very victim energy. I'm picking up very heavy victim energy that she's stuck in, which makes me feel horrible, useless, and stuck. We both seem to be stuck. I can't tell if she's going through something mentally that is age related. I feel like we're both abusing each other at this point. I'm trying everything I can. I understand manifesting, and I'm usually pretty good at having a good mindset until it has to do with my mom. Yeah, because you're too close. I think there's a lot of built up resentment and misunderstandings between you and her. I've tried teaching her, but she insists on being a real downer. It's hard to handle her some days. I love my mother with all my heart and soul. I'm not sure what to do at this point. Some days it gets to the point where I wonder why I'm still here. I have no friends, no family other than my mom, no job, and my health has been through the ringer. I try not to worry about the future, but some days it feels extreme. I would appreciate any advice or insight. I've always wanted to pursue a creative business, but I'm not sure if this is how I'm supposed to make money. We'll get into the supposed to. Some days feel great, and some days, mostly after dealing with my mom, flatline. Forgive me, it was a lot to take in. I do hope to maybe have a one-on-one session with you when I'm financially able. I love and respect what you do so much. Thank you so much, Kata. Okay, so, bro, oh my God. So there's a lot here for sure. And I really had to sit. I actually spent a significant amount of time just sort of sitting with your story and taking it all in and just all the different aspects of everything that's going on. So obviously there's a huge control and there's a huge like power dynamic that has been off with you and your mom. It's also been off with you and your father. One of the big messages that I was getting for you is that there's a big karmic pattern here that I think you are the generational karma breaker basically in your family, because you actually have the awareness, because you feel different, because you think different and look at life different, you understand about manifestation. Like you are very, very different energetically from the rest of your family. This is part of the reason why you've had to separate yourself from them. They're very stuck in this very like sort of gossipy, low vibrational judgment, nobody's good enough, but they don't like themselves either. Like there's just very, very heavy energy when it comes to your family and that I was picking up on. So I think you did yourself a massive service by separating yourself and moving away from them. The part right now that I feel is really still very toxic for you is living with your mom. So that living situation with your mom does, in my opinion, need to end if you truly want to make progress. Otherwise, it's very difficult for us to grow, to change, to spiritually up level when we are constantly surrounded by negativity, when we're constantly surrounded by toxicity or somebody with a very, very low vibration. Because what happens is those people with low vibrations, it doesn't matter how much you're trying to up your own vibration, they're going to drain you. They're going to siphon that off, and they're siphoning it off unknowingly. It's not done on purpose, but they're just doing that because their energy is literally pulling on yours, right? They're just trying to fill up, basically. Like they're trying to fill their own cup, but they're filling it with somebody else's energy. So not realizing that they're draining themselves through their own toxic thinking and beliefs and behavior. So I mean, I don't know if it's possible at all for you, but one of the first things I would recommend is obviously to move out, right? To get your own place, or to at least try to create some type of a separation. Or if moving out financially is not possible at this time, then what I would recommend is that because what the situation is trying to teach you is to put up boundaries, to put up significant, strong boundaries, whether she likes them or not, whether she's going to accept them or not, or happy about them or not, you can still establish boundaries. And that's a part of this karmic lesson with you and your family and with like other family members, extended family, and even that best friend that you talked about, or other friends, this is a big boundary lesson for you, like a massive one. Let me see here what I wrote in my notes. Okay, yeah. So basically, once I read your story and despite the thing with your dad and everything else, like what spirit had me keep focusing on is you and your spine. Okay? So there was this central focus, the central message coming in around your spine. And so I looked up and I did a little bit of research, and I created some notes around the spine. And I think today's this specific information that I'm going to share with you is not only going to be useful for you, but for anybody that ever watches this, because it's very important that we understand how our spine works, what the purpose of the spine is, and what it represents spiritually. So that's what I'm going to be talking about next, because once you understand this, I think this is going to be super relatable. So I know, because even as I was writing these notes up for the live today, I was recognizing certain things even within myself. That makes sense. And ironically, I had a sore back today, which is why I had to delay today's live. So I'm like, love divine timing. So spiritually, the spine is often seen as a central axis. Okay, it is the bridge between the physical and spiritual realms, and a conduit for energy and awareness, representing strength, balance, and the foundation of one's being. So your spine is your foundation of your being, of who you are. And people that have spinal issues or any conditions related to the spine or to the nerves coming out of the spine usually have serious like identity issues. They don't know who they are. They feel very lost or very confused, or there's just been a lot of distortion in their life. Okay, so I just want to kind of mention that right off the bat. The spine is also the mirror of the soul. Okay, so the spine is seen as a reflection of one's inner world. It fully represents your inner world with its shape, position, tension, and tone, providing insights into emotional, mental, and spiritual states. So this is why probably 90-95% of the population has idiopathic scoliosis, because scoliosis is not a physical condition, but an emotional condition. So when the spine is being pulled in one direction and maybe in the upper part, and then kind of curving in a different direction in the lower part, this is all happening because it's actually showing you, your physical body is showing you that you have distortions in those chakras that are in those areas wherever the scoliosis exists in the spine. Yeah, so spiritual emotional states. It's also considered to be our spiritual backbone. Okay, so just as the physical spine provides structure and support for our organs, for our muscles, for our bone structure, the spiritual backbone is seen as the foundation for maintaining one's integrity and purpose. So when you are not in your integrity, when you are not living your purpose or in your purpose, you will have a lot of back issues, and you will have even the injury that you had mentioned, and like the nerve damage that you experienced, like all of that all came as a wake-up call. Anytime we have a severe injury, or anytime we have something very jarring happening to us physically, that happens as a wake-up call, because it's like your body, your soul is using your body to show you where you are out of balance. But if you don't understand what the different parts of the body mean, what the different organs represent, what different limbs represent, or like the left side being the feminine, the right side the masculine, if you have no idea or understanding of that, you're literally not going to know. You're just going to think like, oh crap, this is just a physical problem, when in reality, foundationally, it is a spiritual and an emotional problem. Okay, so I just want to point that out there. And I want to point that out as someone who was a massage therapist for 17 years. Like, I have touched thousands literally of backs, okay, and bodies. So I've done a lot of massage in all my years, and this is always knowledge that I integrated into my massages. So I would always explain this to clients, especially ones that had scoliosis. So emotional and mental blockages are also stored in the spine, which is a channel for vital energy. So if you have no flow, you have no vitality, basically. And you're going to have weak muscles, you're going to have weak organs, you're going to have a weak mindset, even. Like, it affects literally mind, body, spirit, like everything, everything. The spine also represents embodiment. This is how well you can embody your soul, basically your soul's desires, and the essence of your soul. So, like, who you are on a spiritual level. Okay. The spine serves as both a physical and energetic backbone, and pain in this area can be an invitation to deeper self awareness and healing. So it's always showing you what you need to heal. And based on where in the body you have dis-ease, is showing you what that connects to, what emotion, what particular problem, what mindset, what it connects to. Okay. I want to just break up a little bit here the sort of 4 different parts of the spine, or even like 6 different parts of the spine. So we're going to begin at the very, very bottom at the coccyx, which is also known as the tailbone. Okay, and I'm just going to tell you what that represents, so that any of you out there, if you have any tailbone issues, low back, mid back, upper back, neck, we're going to cover all of that. And I'm just going to explain what those different aspects mean. And I'm explaining this because there's some really significant messages that will come through, I think, Ro, for you specifically, so that you can understand why you are the way you are right now, why you behave the way that you behave right now, and why you have the mindset, as you mentioned, that you're having difficulty with kind of getting into a positive mindset. So the tailbone, okay, let's start there. The tailbone connects to your intrinsic self-worth. Okay, so anyone out there that has tailbone issues or has ever fallen on their tailbone really badly, that is an indication that you have issues with your intrinsic self-worth. This is not recognizing or being disconnected from a feeling of being valuable. Okay, you as a person, as an individual, being valuable. And your unique gifts and skills are needed, right? It's this disconnect from that. So the function of your coccyx, or your tailbone, is to receive information from the planet. This is why when we ground outside, or when you sit in the grass, for example, what is the first thing that is connected as you sit? It's the tailbone that is connecting to the earth, to the ground, right? So this is where you receive information from the planet. And if we're connected with that, we have a sense that we are valuable. So oftentimes, for people that feel very disconnected, this is why I always talk about nature, and I'm always telling everybody to get outside, is because when you can sit in the grass, you're actually reconnecting to the essence of yourself, and you start to allow that energy to start flowing up your spine. That intrinsically makes you feel valuable, that reconnects you to your self-worth and to your personal power. Okay, so if there are different things like lifestyle issues, right? Different things that we're doing that is preventing this flow, this energy flow from happening. So examples would be like lack of oxygen. If you're not just not breathing, like if you're always shallow breathing, I want to say, like if you're always indoors, you don't do any vigorous exercise that makes your heart rate speed up and make you breathe heavier. So a lack of oxygen, a lack of love, feeling loved by other people, or you loving yourself, a lack of food, so not getting enough nutrients or the right nutrients for yourself, is all going to completely block this flow. And it's basically going to disconnect you from feeling that intrinsic value. Okay, I hope this makes sense. And another example actually I want to use is being in the womb. Okay, so when your mom was pregnant with you, and while you were in your mother's womb, and this applies to all of us, if your mother was scared either of the pregnancy, scared of giving birth, if she had any fears around, bringing a child into this world, or maybe fears because she wasn't feeling ready to become a mom, all of that energy, that emotional energy that she would have felt, would have actually embedded into the coccyx. It embeds into the tailbone of the fetus. Okay. And what happens is that your body and the energy afterwards has a sense. It's like you basically are born completely subconsciously with a sense that you are lacking something. So it's almost like that energy is like built into your energy system before you even come into the world. Okay. And this is like also like a feeling that you're not wanted here. So a lot of people that are born that feel out of place or feel unwanted actually could feel unwanted because of this energy still lingering from when you were in your mother's stomach, in your mother's womb, lingering. Okay, so any fears that the mom had would have initiated that energy to build up. So this manifests as doubting your intrinsic self-worth, which usually shows up as a theme that comes into play into your life somehow. And Ro, if we kind of just go back to your life for a moment here, then we can see how this has actually played out in your life multiple times, over and over, in many different ways and with many different people, right? So you not feeling worthy of choosing a life that is suitable for you, you not feeling worthy of just being yourself, right? Or feeling like your decisions matter, or that they are good decisions, that could all be coming from this. So I mean, I don't know how open your mom would be, but it would be interesting to have a conversation with your mom. And it actually, I feel like it would be very healing. I'm feeling a little bit emotional. I'm also feeling throat chakra. So yeah, I think this is something important to express. It would be healing both for your mom and you to have a conversation about that and just ask her, Mom, how did you feel when you were pregnant with me? How were you scared? Were you ready to have me? Were you excited to have me? Did you have any fear around having me? Ask her these things and just see what she says, see how she responds. And that'll give you a lot of insight as to where some of this intrinsic value is or not connected to the intrinsic value is coming from. You're going to understand that. Next thing I want to talk about is the sacrum. Okay, so now we're moving up the spine a little bit here. The sacrum connects us with the part of us which knows we are here and why we are here. Okay, so this is like your knowing of that I am here in this body and here in this life, and I know why I am here. Okay, that's what the sacrum connects to. So again, just think about any issues you've ever had with your sacrum. This is the triangle-shaped bone that is just above the tailbone. It's connected to the tailbone, right? So it says you might learn subtly through your parents or the culture at large or the culture that you were raised in that who I am and what I am or why I am here is not okay, right? And so think about how you were raised or the culture that you were raised in, Ro, because I feel like that really, really ties in for you here, where who you are and why you are here was basically thrust upon you. It was like it was like forced upon you. Like you didn't have a choice or a say in the matter. Okay. And so these are everything that I'm talking about here for you, Ro, is things that you are going to need to heal, things that you are going to need to really take some time to reflect on, maybe journal on it. I feel like I'm seeing you writing and just crying. So I think there's a lot of like release and a lot of healing that can come from just expressing these feelings. So since we rely on our parents and our family, of course, for our survival, right, when we are children, we will push that part of ourselves away. So basically, like the why you are here, like the purpose of why you are here, you're going to shove that to the side because you're going to be told why you are here in some families, right? And so it immediately shuts that part of you off. It's like it disconnects you from that divine knowing of why you are here as a child, because children are super intuitive and they usually know things. So this will cause you to hold tension in your sacrum, which means that you will reject who you are and why you are here. And I feel like this is playing out in your life. And actually your mom's behavior is sort of very evident of that. So when you push it away, you decide you have to adopt someone else's version of who you are and why you're supposed to be here. So your mom telling you as soon as your dad passed away that you're moving in with me was her basically like taking over your destiny. She was basically telling you that your purpose is to live with me and to like support me or to do whatever, right? However that conversation went. But she basically decided that for you. So do you see how that is something that needs to be healed within you big time? And I just want to mention here that around the age of 28 to 35 is when we start to differentiate from our parents and our old identities. Meaning that this is the age when we start to desire living for ourselves. So even if we were born with that value system being shut off within us because of circumstances and our mom's emotions, usually between 28 and 35, you're going to start to reconnect. It's like you're going to start to look for that. It's like, no, I know I have a purpose other than just to take care of you or do what you want me to do or blah, blah, blah. Right. And you start living for yourself at that age, or at least you start trying to live for yourself. So when you start to unravel all of this energy that is stuck basically in your lower chakras and in your spine, you will start to notice that who you are, why you are here, that there's a connection to that, and you're going to connect to and try to establish your own identity. So basically, Ro, you are moving through a shedding process where you are peeling away everything that everyone has told you to be and has expected you to be. And you are now in this phase of discovering that for yourself and recreating your identity. I was getting that a lot, actually, was that you're recreating your identity at this time. So what makes this challenging is that it has a lot to do with shoulds, right? That we've adopted. Like, this is who I should be, right? Just like your mom, like, and you even said it yourself in the email, like, that you should be taking care of your mom at this time because your father passed. And so the financial responsibility in your mind has now fallen on you because you decided you should. But that is incorrect. That's, even though you mean well, and I understand that, and I understand that your mom is older, it's still false, right? This is still a part of your false identity that you are needing to shed at this time, because it's not healthy. Whoa, there's a massive turkey vulture floating right here. Yeah, see, it's like going with the flow. Going with the flow that actually feels like flow, not restriction. And there's the crow again. Unbelievable. All right. So this is your new beginning. Now let's move on to the low back here for a second. The low back, and I mean, this is, as a massage therapist for 17 years, this was one of the most common issues that I saw in in general, all right, with everybody. Low back has to do with safety, a feeling of safety and vulnerability. So this is about feeling safe to be vulnerable. And this is why so many men that I used to massage had really bad low back pain a lot, because they never felt safe to be vulnerable. And it's often tied in with the top of the head as well, which we'll get into in a moment about why. But it has to do a lot with our thoughts. It's connected to the thoughts and the ideas that we have about vulnerability and safety. So when we come into this world, we feel everyone is pushing away their human vulnerability. As children, we automatically pick up on that, and we can feel it. We can feel it in the adults that are raising us. We can feel it in siblings. We can feel it just about with anyone that we encounter, right? You can feel how people in today's society are pushing away their vulnerability. They're hiding it. They're stuffing it down, right? And so what happens is, as children, we grip at that life force energy in the gut. And a lot of kids, this is why they end up having gut issues, right? Because what happens is they're trying to connect to that sense of safety within themselves, which is in their root, right? That's where safety and security comes from. They're trying to connect into that. This is where constipation also comes from, by the way, for anyone out there suffering from that. And you try to lock into that energy because you're trying to anchor into a sense of safety, because you don't feel that sense of safety within the adults because they're suppressing their vulnerability so much and so heavily, right? So it's like, I don't know what I wrote there. That doesn't make sense. Anyway. So this brings about a theme of needing to heal vulnerability and safety. Again, this is a very collective message, but Ro, it's a very specific message for you. There's a need to heal this vulnerability and safety issue within you. This is connected to your finances. This is connected to your creative projects, which I do want to touch on, actually, the paper flower making. That is incredibly healing for you. because it specifically touches on the chakra, the sacral, the root, right? It specifically touches on those um, centers, those energy centers within you that are currently blocked. So creation for you is like the most important thing, and I want to highly, highly encourage you to not stop doing that. Keep going, keep making those the paper flowers and the bouquets, and because it fulfills you, it gives you a sense of purpose, it gives you a sense of peace and joy and excitement, and it's also very soothing, very calming for your nervous system. So please keep going with that. Okay, keep doing that, because it's literally helping you heal. Okay, is what I'm trying to say. Now let's talk a little bit about the mid back region. So the mid back is this like heart area, right? It's where the heart acts as the middle ground. Okay, the heart is basically the divider, if we want to say the junction or interface between your physical body and your spiritual body. So the two meet at the heart, right? Because this is all sort of spiritual chakras, and then these are more earthly or human, sort of grounded chakras, the lower half. So with all the ways that we're pushing different parts of ourselves away, whether it's in the tailbone, the sacrum, or the low back, and the belly, we're trying to keep it from being felt in the heart, right? So as we're shoving everything down, we're not allowing that energy to rise up into the heart space. We're not allowing ourselves to feel those emotions, to feel whether it's sadness that I'm feeling because I feel rejected by my parents or whatever it is, right? So what ends up happening is we create an armor around the heart space. And as this armor begins to unravel, because remember I said between like 28 and 35, we start to really search for our own identity. We want to start really creating our own identity. And so as this armor starts to unravel, we start to feel more of our feelings and more of our power rising, like the energy actually starts to rise within our bodies and within the spine. And this energy shift actually in the spine can usually cause people to feel really afraid. So it ignites this fear because, and it ignites this sense of loss too. It's like, oh my God, I don't know who I am, but like, I want to figure it out. But what if I leave that old identity behind, the identity that was like thrust upon me by my parents? Oof, and I'm getting major like left hip pain right now as I'm saying this. What if I leave all that behind, and I won't be, I'm hearing I'll be rejected, I won't be accepted. So you definitely have a lot of fear as I'm talking about this. I'm feeling left hip, and left hip has to do with receiving, moving forward with receiving, allowing yourself to receive or to become this new identity. So I feel like that's definitely something that's going on for you, Ro. And lastly, I want to talk about the neck, okay? Because a lot of people also have neck issues, right? The neck is connected to our ability to express what feels true and right. So if we're connected with the part, if we're able to express what feels true and right in any given moment and honor that part of us, the vulnerable parts of us that have needs, then we can say yes when we mean yes, then we can say no when we mean no. So the neck is very connected to being able to express yourself truly, authentically, and for real, right? It's this ability to express what feels right and true for you, whether somebody else agrees with that or not. And this too, I bring up because I think this is something very important that you need to dive into deeper, where you need to start expressing to your mom, Ro, that, it's like she can't be dictating your life at this point, and she shouldn't be. And what you have to learn to do, and I know this is going to be challenging, but what you have to learn to do is to shut her out, like to shut out her negativity, to shut out her opinions of you, her expectations of you, her desires of you. Like all of that has to be, it's like drown out the noise. I'm hearing like shut out the noise, because in order for you to find yourself, to reconnect to what your needs are and to what feels best for you, and even like for your business to take off, like with the flower business, for that to take off, you're going to have to shield yourself, learn how to shield yourself from her negativity, from her projections, because I see a lot of projections. She's got really heavy energy, by the way. I'm really not digging your mom's energy. No offense, but it's just it's very suppressing. It's very like heavy. Like she's so in victim mode, and she really, really projects that energy onto you. So it's really slowing you down, actually, and it's actually completely preventing your business from even taking off. So, and the last thing is the base of the skull. So this is basically where the spine is connecting into the skull. And that area has to do with the life force energy that's connected to the brainstem. And that has to do with control. My God, how many of us have issues with control? Your mom, right? Having an issue with control. So you have to learn to differentiate between your thoughts and ideas and your real direct embodied experience, meaning that you have to start learning how to trust your intuition and get out of your head. You have to learn how to guide your actions, but like your intuition guide your actions instead of your mind or your thoughts or your fears guiding your actions. So this is intuitive based rather than mental chatter, right? It's learning to drown out the mental chatter, recognizing how the mental chatter is trying to control the narrative, and it's trying to control it out of fear. Man, am I getting a lot of pain again on that left hip about this. Yeah, so it's a surrender. Like, stop trying to control things so much. Don't try to control your mom either, because you can't. Let her be who she is. The only thing that you have control over is yourself. How you choose to respond, how you choose to show up every day, how you choose to do the things and connect to the passions that fill you up, whether she approves or not. Okay? So all in all, what happens is if you're trying to control outcomes in your life, when you're trying to control things out of fear, you end up becoming extremely vigilant and like hyper vigilant to things going wrong. It's like you're just plugging into survival mode, and you're not trusting. You're not trusting a higher power. You're not trusting yourself. You actually completely disconnect from yourself and your own heart, from your own feelings. So I know it's hard, easier said than done, but really, really try to release control and say, even affirmations of like, divine, guides my life, and I'm at peace, and I am grateful for the divine guidance that I receive. I don't need to control anything, because I know and I trust fully that everything is working out for the best in my life. And yes, I'm in a situation I don't want to be in right now, but I know that this is temporary. I know that it's going to pass. And the more I relax, the more I calm myself, the more I do practices that fill my cup, that nurture me, the more I'm going to really start to get in the flow of life. Just like the turkey vulture. Turkey vultures, when they show up, it represents how how they glide using the hot stream, the hot air, and they're always gliding up. They allow the air to push them up. They barely flap their wings. Okay. So when that showed up, and us talking about this right now is definitely an indication how you need to trust more, allow yourself to be lifted by spirit more, to connect into the spiritual aspects and parts of yourself that I think you have been disconnected from, because you've been so cerebral, so in your mind, and so forcefully and through control trying to make things happen in your life. That doesn't work. I'll tell you firsthand, I know, because I used to do that too. That does not work. Okay. So I'm just going to look at the chats here for a quick second. Oh, you're here. Hi. Okay, good. Hi, Sigrid. You're here too. Don. Hello, Don. Okay. She won't survive on her own. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying, like, you're really being challenged right now to just overcome. It's like energetically shield yourself from everything that she is, and what she represents and what she wants from you, because this is a part of this generational curse breaking. And that, by the way, is a really challenging task. I know, because I'm one. It's very, very hard to break these cycles within our family, but you have to be that strong one. And I actually genuinely feel that you are that strong individual in your family who can break these negative patterns, right? So trust yourself, and have really, really strict boundaries when it comes to, her trying to tell you what to do. Then you say, Mom, thank you for your opinion, but I'm going to make my own decisions, right? not something that has to be a fight. Even how you communicate, because that's something that you mentioned before, that you guys are not communicating easily, and that you're constantly, I think, butting heads when it comes to communication. Really try to sink into your heart and just talk to her with love. Can you look at your mom as like a hurt child, a child that didn't receive the love that she needed when she was a child, and so she's like always kind of coming from that hurt and coming from that pain, coming from that victim mode. Okay, see her as that, because when you recognize that your parents are, and it was something I had to recognize as well, that our parents are, they're doing the best that they can for the level of consciousness that they are at, and she can't do any better than where she's at. She has to have a willingness to learn. She has to have a desire to change, right? But if she doesn't have those desires, then you have to leave her where she is emotionally and spiritually, and pull back all of your attention, all of your focus onto yourself. How can I improve my life? How can I feel better? What can I do on a daily basis that doesn't cost anything, that will elevate me, that will put me back into my power, that will make me feel good, right? It's the best and the only thing that you can kind of do at this moment. That way you can still stay together, live with her, but not feel drained, not feel constantly triggered, by her unconsciousness. So let me just see. Hello, Pam. Welcome. We've been trying hard to release control. Yes. Yeah, we have to, because like even headaches, neck pain, tension in the neck, tension in the shoulders, all of that comes from us really trying to control life, trying to push so hard against the flow, right? Because when you're trying to control, you are not in the flow. And getting in the flow, like I find I always turn to nature when I'm not in the flow and I feel like I'm not, then I just turn to nature, because nature reminds me of what the flow looks like, and it shows up through animals, through birds, through different things, and I'm reminded of like, oh yes, that's right, look how they don't strive to fly, look how they don't struggle to survive, they just do. They live, right? They just are in this flow of abundance, because life is abundant, right? So definitely need to switch our mindset, switch our focus, and bring it back to what is actually true. And what is actually true is that life is abundant, life is beautiful, and it is only our ego that is attached to pain, and it is only our ego that is hooked up on this desire to control outcomes, right? So I want to get into the very last story now, because we're running out of time here. And this very last one came in from Kevin. So Kevin says, first off, I want to say thank you that your previous live video appeared on my YouTube feed randomly. After watching it, I felt my soul needed to reach out to you. I don't believe in coincidences. Neither do I, Kevin. There are none. We are always guided, especially when we relax. These past 2.5 years have been one of the toughest times of my life. I've had multiple spiritual awakenings in my life, but these last 2 have been rough. And my throat chakra is messing up here. Something's up, Kevin. The first one I had was when I was in a car accident. Right after that, I had my new car broken into, and then another smaller car accident. Then I lost my job and really struggled financially. Sounds like you were going through the ringer there too, Kevin. I was able to get back on my feet and feeling stable until I was broken up with by my long-term girlfriend, which is really affecting me a lot. That felt like my second spiritual awakening. As I'm trying to heal from the loss and figuring myself out once again, I've also been losing friends and feeling really alone, struggling a lot with my mental health. I try to be very positive minded and try living in the moment, but I've been having a roller coaster of emotions. It sometimes feels like I'm in a tornado. I feel like I have lost my purpose in life and my goals. I feel stuck. I have been trying to connect more spiritually with myself by just being in the present moment, but I lack clarity on what to do next. Everything in my life feels like it's falling apart, especially with the lack of communication with friends. It makes things more challenging for me not being able to talk to someone. Of course, I totally get that. I'm also a person that's in my head all the time. I feel very disconnected with myself. Okay, so Kevin, first of all, throat chakra, this feeling like you're not able to communicate with other people. That's showing up in my throat chakra, and my voice is starting to crack, so I can feel that. And now the pain in the left hip is returning. Oh boy. All right, so you too also have this feeling of like, oh my god, I'm stuck and I can't move forward and I don't know what to do. Okay, so your question is, how do I get clarity on what to do next in my life and get unstuck? How can I be more in the present moment rather than in my thoughts, emotions, and loneliness? Thank you for the work that you do. All right, Kevin, here's what I got for you. So, right away, as I was reading the email and as I was tapping into your energy, the first message I received that your car, let me talk about cars here for a moment, and let me talk about vehicles. Okay, vehicles represent the vehicles which we move through in life, right? It is our forward momentum in life. It is getting us from point A to point B. So your car represents the direction that you are moving in life. And the car accidents that you experienced, Kevin, they were both actually to shake you up. So it was to wake you up from the dream or the illusion that you were living in. It was like you were kind of like running on autopilot, is what I was getting. Like you were just in this very like moving through the motions of life, doing, the thing you got to do, get up, go to work, blah, 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 right? All of that. But you were very disconnected from the deeper aspect of yourself, Kevin. And that's the reason why you had that first car accident, which was the bigger one. It was like a jolt, right? And that's what spirit does. It's like when something in our life, when we're too numb, when we're too checked out of sort of like the higher purpose of the path we're supposed to be on, or the thing that we need more awareness of, when we're really checked out from that, then something in life will happen to kind of shake us, right? To give us this like wake up call. And that's essentially what the car accident was. Both of them actually were wake up calls. So I was getting that many things in your life were not aligned with the real you, but you were either oblivious to it or you were ignoring it on purpose. So I don't know which one it was for you, Kevin, but it was one or the other. I feel like there was different signs, because spirit always communicates with different signs, and you were getting the signs, but you were ignoring them. So I was getting that a lot. The break-in, because you mentioned that somebody had broken into your car. Again, this is sort of a message here for everyone else too. When our vehicle is broken into, it is symbolically representing this, or indicating that something has broken into your life and has basically hijacked you. It has hijacked your consciousness, or it has hijacked your entire life or the power in your life. Again, the car is the vehicle that moves us forward, right? It is what takes us from point A to point B. So something or someone was hijacking your destiny, was taking over control. So that's what the break-in was kind of representing. And again, it was like, these are like these wake-up calls, but if you don't read or don't know how to read into the deeper meanings, or you don't see the deeper meanings or the signs behind these life events, you're just going to see it as unfortunate. You're going to think you have bad luck. You're going to think you're just unfavored by the gods, right? But that's not the case. They're actually all for you. They're all happening to wake you up. The second car accident, I was also getting a message about that. The smaller one that you had mentioned in your email happened as a result of like fear. So that one you actually kind of generated, because the first one shook you up so much that actually it sort of activated this fear within you. Like, oh my God, I hope that doesn't happen again. And then unfortunately, I think you gave it enough attention and enough focus that you made it happen again. That's why it was a smaller one, but it was just like, yeah, okay, here we go. You're manifesting this. Yeah. Okay. Let me just look at my notes here. The job loss that you had mentioned, that represents the reset in your life. So the job loss was absolutely like meant to be. That was supposed to happen. Again, this was like this further. Let me put it this way. When we receive a wake-up call from spirit, either through an accident, some kind of a physical injury, or some kind of a relationship ending, something big, right? When we are not looking into the deeper meaning of that, when we're very disconnected and not recognizing that this is really trying to show me or teach me something, what happens is it will happen again and then again and then again, and it gets kind of more and more intense every single time because it is meant to wake you up. You can't have a new beginning when you're asleep, right? You can't have a new beginning when you're completely checked out of who you are, what you're supposed to be doing, why you're here, right? It won't happen. So it's like life events will have to shake you up out of your comfort zone, out of that sleep or that dream, the illusion that you're living in, so that you can come back to the real reality of who you are, right? And that's going to come through, obviously, tests and difficulty. It's not going to come through comfort because that wouldn't move us. So the job loss was like this representation of how it wasn't in alignment with you. It was also testing your faith in a higher power. So you were meant to lose the job is the only way I can say it. That was supposed to, it's like how do I say this? It was steering you in a new direction. There we go. That's what I'm trying to say. Now the girlfriend breaking up with you, because clearly there was like back to back to back some stuff happening here for you, Kevin. The girlfriend breaking up with you was also necessary. And that too, I received the message that it was like this, in that relationship, the power dynamics were off. I was really feeling like a weird sensation and like almost like a pain in my power center in my solar plexus. So the power dynamics between you and your girlfriend were really, really off. And I felt like she was the one who was trying to call the shots or control the situation more. That's what I was picking up on. And you were giving away your power to her. So it was like this imbalanced relationship. You were also very submissive, I was getting in that connection with her. So it wasn't allowing you to be in your full masculine, like your healthy masculine energy, because I feel like she was very strongly in her masculine energy and it was suppressing yours. So even though that was a long time relationship that you had with this girl, it really wasn't healthy. And you were in it for a long time because it was taking you a long time to maybe recognize this. It was taking you a long time to notice that this isn't right, this isn't healthy, that something is actually off. So I don't know if that feels or sounds accurate to you, but that's what I was receiving about that. So it was also God's way of getting you alone, because that was another message I was receiving. So with these series of losses, okay, that we perceive in human world as losses, these were all basically God's way of inching you closer and closer to isolation. That means that God was preparing you for a massive spiritual awakening. And that spiritual awakening, most often, and I know because I personally went through this, most often happens when we are alone. Like we have to be alone. We have to be separated from everything and everyone that was our old life, our old identity, in order to have this spiritual awakening. And this is really uncomfortable. And I know this. This is very uncomfortable. It's very testing. It really is trying. It really puts us through the ringer emotionally and mentally. Like we question everything. We feel like we lose ourselves because you're losing your old identity, Kevin, and that's what's happening. But I really want to encourage you to let it go. Like the old identity needs to go, okay, in order for you to have this rebirth, this new beginning that the crows came and signaled as I sat down to record today. So what else did I write here? Yeah, so it was a gift from God, actually. Although we don't perceive it that way, every single one of these losses have been a gift from God to isolate you, to separate you, to basically get you alone so that it can be you and the big guy upstairs. Okay, the friend loss, same thing, because you had mentioned that friends started to leave your life. So do you see how like the reset button was totally hit on your life and everything that was connected to your old life had to go? I'm telling you, it is a personal experience. I went through the same thing. I lost my friends. I lost family members. I disconnected from family members. The 17-year massage job that I was doing, that too had to go. It's like I was disconnected from that. So yeah, all of this is inching you towards a reset to a brand new beginning. Okay. So even though it feels terrible. And I know, and you were saying that you're in your head a lot. Get out of your head. Okay. Stop over analyzing and stop being so focused on the loss. Don't look at the old you and your old life dying or falling away as a negative. It is, Kevin, the biggest blessing of your life. And it is so essentially necessary that you are at this crossroads, that you're being given a second chance at life to completely have a redo. Okay, so I want you to completely pull your mind away from the loss, stop focusing on that, and start recognizing that I'm in this very neutral, in this very like almost like void energy, because that's what I feel like you're in. You're in this like liminal space, sort of in this void energy where you're being restructured, rewired, recalibrated. You're completely getting a do-over. So the feeling of loss of purpose and goals comes from focusing on all the previous loss. Okay. So this is reinvention time. Use your energy, Kevin, instead of being sad or depressed or looking back on the people that you've lost. Instead, use this energy to reinvent yourself, to rediscover, okay, who am I? I'm being given this opportunity to just be with myself, to focus on myself, to actually tune in and figure out, what does Kevin want? What does Kevin like? What am I passionate about? What lights me up? What excites me? This is what you're doing right now. This is the purpose of all of this. So it's like space had to be created in order for you to find yourself, because you were lost, my friend. That I was getting that message loud and clear. Like you were just so in a haze, like you were just lost in this old life, plugged into everybody else. You were super external, always focusing on the outside world, other people's needs, other people's wants. You lost yourself. So space had to be created in your life in order for you to connect, reconnect, to find your authentic self, your authentic purpose, and what you really desire to experience in life moving forward. So I really, really want to encourage you to get excited, to get really, happy, and to get refocused on you. Never mind what's gone. What's gone had to go. And if any person is ever meant to be in our lives, usually once we move through this big spiritual awakening, this massive recalibration, the people that are meant to be with you are going to re-enter your life. In one way or another, you will be reconnected with them. So don't worry about that. And if you're not reconnected with those people, then they were never meant to come with you to this next phase of your journey. I often tell my clients, that people are with us for a season in our life. And sometimes that season is a long season, sometimes it's a short season. But, every single soul that you encounter and that you experience in your life, and I'm speaking to everyone right now, every single soul has a purpose, serves a purpose, and usually has some type of a lesson to teach you, or something that you're meant to learn about yourself, right? Or they're going to mirror something back to you that you need to see within yourself, right? So let the seasons flow. Basically, let people go when that ends. And this was something I had to do. I had a best friend of 13 years who I had to release, because we came to a point where I was ascending very rapidly. I was going through a massive spiritual awakening, and she wasn't. That's the only way I can put it. She wasn't, and that's okay. And she's a beautiful soul, and I love her, but she couldn't like come with me. It's like she couldn't keep up to that vibrational elevation that I was moving through. And the higher I was getting, the bigger the gap became between the two of us. And it was really hard. It really sucked, because she was one of the longest friendships I've ever had in my life, and one of the most genuine ones. So it was a very difficult connection to release. I had to mourn her loss. And that's the other thing, Kevin. Give yourself permission to mourn these losses. I had to mourn the loss of my old identity, my old life, everything that I used to be, even though I didn't want to be that anymore. And I didn't want to be those parts of myself, or didn't want to be connected to those parts of myself. I still had to mourn the loss of myself and of those connections, of those friendships, and the lifestyle, all of it. So give yourself permission to do that, so that you can make space, right? Because what that does is it makes space. You acknowledge that, yes, this sucks. Yes, this is sad. Yes, this is hard. You acknowledge that. You're not trying to suppress it or push it down or numb it out, right? But then once you do that, then you have all this space, and then now it's like you have all this sort of internal freedom because you're freeing up energetic space within you to now connect into who am I truly. Okay, so now that all that's gone, now that I've processed the emotions of all of that, who am I on the inside? And what is the thing that really makes my heart happy? Like for me, this was the thing. And then I knew that I had to leave massage therapy behind because it just didn't spark the kind of joy in me anymore that it used to. Right. And that's when you know when something doesn't feel exciting anymore, that's your cue that, hey, this isn't your thing. Like there's something higher. It's time to take the next step up the ladder, right? And connect to something deeper within yourself that's going to light you up. It's like reconnect. What is that new passion? The other thing I quickly want to mention here to everyone is that we are all so multifaceted. Okay. Not a single human lives on this planet who has one interest. Nobody. We are meant to be multifaceted. We are like literally like diamonds, like crystals, and we have all these different aspects and angles to us. And we need to honor that. And we go through even seasons of honoring that. So while for 17 years it was good and it was awesome for me to be a massage therapist, and I really enjoyed how I was able to, give people physical relief from tension, it eventually came to a point where that facet was like, okay, now it's time to switch and turn and let myself embody a different facet of myself, which is what I'm doing now, which is the coaching. I've been doing the coaching for over 10 years anyway, but it's like I stepped into it full time once I allowed myself to leave the massage therapy behind. So it's like we have to leave those old aspects, the played out facets that have been done, that we've experienced, and we're like, over. Okay, next. What else? What else am I? What else lights me up? What else interests me? Right. So I just want to kind of leave that as sort of a closing so that anyone out there who is feeling lost at this time, know that whatever is behind you, whatever you have lost, whatever is no longer resonating, is an indication that you have this opportunity to find the new version of yourself and reconnect to parts of yourself that maybe you've suppressed, that maybe you've suppressed since you were a child, things that you have pushed away, creativity or passions that you never connected to because maybe you have a belief that that's frivolous or that it will never make you money or whatever, fill in the blank, right? So, and that's not the case. Whatever our passion is, especially in today's world, we have an opportunity to actually make a living with it. Like the internet offers us this incredible opportunity. So yeah, it's only the mindset and the belief systems that get in the way of that, nothing else. So yeah, so I just want to close the session with that. And I hope that everybody found their answers and got a little bit more clarity and some insight into whatever is going on with you. And if you feel called, if you are a viewer, if you've not been here before or experienced this before, please feel free to send me an email. The link is in the description box. And for the next live, the lives usually happen every Friday at 1:00 Eastern Standard Time. And I'm happy to answer any questions that I have a chance to in the live or emails that you send me. I did have to start late today because my back was sore and I had to kind of look at, what I was hanging on to in terms of tension, but I had a nice hot shower and it literally dissolved all of it. I also set an intention in the shower to release any resistance or any tension that I am experiencing, even subconsciously right now. And it left. So I'm good and I'm here. So thank you so much. I found answers without asking a question. Wonderful, Pam. I'm so happy. That's awesome. Good. So very, very happy to connect with everyone today. It was lovely to be here and to answer all your questions. I'm sending you so much love and so much courage to step into the new versions of yourselves. You're all doing wonderful. You're exactly where you're supposed to be, even if sometimes it doesn't feel like that. But just know that you really are, and everything is going to blossom. We are entering the season of spring here in the Northern Hemisphere, and that is it's initiating us into new cycles, into new beginnings, as the two crows showed up and indicated at the beginning. So thank you, everyone. I wish you all the best, and I wish you a beautiful weekend. Take care.